All right, folks. So the number stayed the same, only 4 runs, but Gary, isn't it funny what happens when starting pitching comes through? It's almost as if 4 runs is enough to actually win the game. Who would have thought? So shout out to Fried. No, there's no question. And it's funny, I saw people right away on social media going after Fried for giving up 2 runs. And I think we've forgotten that starting pitchers are not going to throw a perfect game or a no-hitter or even throw a complete game shutout every time they hit the mound. I didn't know I had to say that, but just in case I did, it's out there.
Yeah, I guess you can look up and say, well, how good do you think Max Fried's thrown? And I'd say pretty good. When you look at his ERA, it's a $1.88. Yeah, some of the best arms in the game, they still give up 2 or 3 runs every 9 innings they pitch. So they're going to give up runs. You're going to see a pitch or two. And Max Fried wasn't perfect today. He made 2 mistakes. I think he got away with another, right? Salvi Perez, you saw with Bobby Witt Jr. lacing a ball off the wall. So there were mistakes, but pitchers can make mistakes. It's about how often you make them. And if you make them repetitively and they're consistently happening and it's predictable, well, that's when you start seeing balls go in the seats consistently, and that's what we've seen from some of our other arms. I'm going to point out one thing I noticed from Max Fried today, and I actually saw the exact same game plan from Waka today. I thought it was beautiful. When you pay attention to the park, you really need to understand where you're playing. And everyone knows where the money zones are at Yankee Stadium and where it's not. Left field is, what they used to call it at old Yankee Stadium, Death Valley. It is a bomb to get it out to left center field. It is not that way to right field. So what did Max Fried do today? He was throwing glove side, working right-handers way inside, and he was starting off his day with 4-seam fastballs, changeups, and that overhand curveball. What did he do later? When eventually some guys got ahead of a count, he can give them the sinker, which was located. So that's why it's always nice when, Jake, you bring up the conversation of first time through the order, second time through the order. What do they look like the third time through? Are you the same pitcher your third time through? If you are, you're gambling. That is a gamble, because these hitters, and you saw it today from MJ Melendez, it's a player that we used to laugh at last year. Still a good player in this league, obviously still learning, trying to find his own. But I will tell you this. We saw a pitch, he was ahead of a count 1-0 away, and he went dead central with it, okay? So it just kind of goes to show you, in the big leagues, you can pitch a mistake, maybe you get away with some of them, but, man, these guys can make you pay. And Max Fried in general, I thought he worked around some of those mistakes, but like I said, Waka, the conclusion here, the game plan was to make the hitters work to the big part of the field. That was the game plan, right? You're trying to jam guys, make them go to left field. You saw a lot of soft contact. Ben Rice saw a lot of breaking balls today. Should be expected the way he's been swinging the bat. But it was an interesting day, a chess match from these arms, and great game from the good guys.
Yeah, that was fun. I mean, look, you're not going to just drop 8 runs a game. We're not asking of that. But, I mean, you got to have starting pitching first and foremost. And I think this kind of coincides with what I've been saying, and I think what you've been saying as well. I mean, you get Clark Schmidt back and you get Luis Heel back, and all of a sudden you got 4 guys, if Will Warren keeps up what he's doing, where you feel like you can win any of those games. And that's a good feeling to have. And, you know, I think right now the Yankees are still trying to figure it out, right? I mean, you're still learning. It's still early on in the year, no doubt about it. Someone who's still trying to figure it out, and he took a huge step forward in doing so, is our cover athlete today on the, on the thumbnail, Jasson Dominguez, the Martian. This was, as I think I texted you this. I don't remember if I did or not, but I felt like that was his Yankee moment. Like, I really do. I feel like that was his moment where it was like, wow, he came through in a massive, I'm going to tell you right now, they lose this game if he doesn't come through. They lose.
Oh, no question.
So that was huge, and I feel like that you can only build off that as a young player. But the reason why the title is what it is Jasson Dominguez back to where he left off in 2023? Is because, seriously, where did he go? Like, 2024, He came back. You know, we talked about he should have been called up long ago, no doubt. But the confidence wasn't there. He wasn't really effective at the plate. He was just a guy with a big name that, you know, you were assuming would, you know, revert back to the last time we saw him before he got injured. But 2023, he showed you that serious potential that had people comparing him to all sorts of players like Mickey Mantle, right? So that had been gone for a while, Gary. I know you're about to laugh, but I mean, that's what people were doing. They were comparing him to Mickey Mantle. Crazy.
He was like 17, 16.
I know.
I'll let it slide.
Yeah. So here's the deal. Okay. He has not had the best start to the year, but he has shown signs of improvement. And I think, obviously, I think people have noticed in left field, he started to make some big time. He had the biggest catch of the year, according to analytics. It was the toughest catch that has been caught this year by the Yankees. It had a, I believe, 65% chance of being caught. Toughest one. Even tougher than anything Bellinger's done. That's saying something. So I like the start so far for him. This was a big day. 3 hits. They even brought it up. Last time he had 3 hits in a game was 2023. So it's you're pedaling in the right direction. We'll see how this moves forward, but I'm feeling pretty good about this, Gary. I'm feeling good about, you know, the way he continues to work counts, his patience, and how he's able to step up in a big time moment like tonight.
Yeah, and what did you think about that being a right-handed swing? Because you have to remember, this has been the storyline.
That
Jasson
looked
Dominguez,
pretty darn good, man.
I'll tell you this, though. That follow-through was damn atrocious.
Yeah.
It was so bad, which I don't care about. If he
No,
wants
I
to
don't
club
either.
himself over the head like Fred Flintstone every time he swings, but we get
By
results,
all means.
do it. But, yeah, that swing, it was like Miguel Andujar-esque. Like, the dude just did the helicopter, smokes the back of his own head, and then runs without his helmet. So it was ugly, but the result was beautiful, and it won us a game today. So am I here to say that Jasson Dominguez is just here and he's here to stay? No, not really. I think Jasson Dominguez, and really goes without saying, the rest of this lineup as well. You look at Jazz Chisholm, Anthony Volpe, right? Austin Wells. You look at these guys and you say, I know where your ceiling's at, okay? And that's not what makes you a top prospect. In order for you to pan out, you need to show some level of consistency. If I watch you this week, do you even resemble the guy I see 2 weeks from now? Or is it a whole new guy that we're now describing as streaky? Jasson Dominguez needs to break this mold of Yankees hitters that are streaky, because right now I do think we have a lot of guys in our lineup you would describe as streaky, right? Cody Bellinger,
Yes.
very clearly streaky. Even Aaron Judge, maybe a couple years ago, was considered streaky. He had a horrible beginning of his year last year, right? Ben Rice came onto the scene. You saw similar things of what you're seeing now. And towards the end of the year, he ended up hitting a .171 because there was some streakiness there, right? So what we're looking for is that Jasson Dominguez, as you brought up, is clearly taking a step in the right direction. He's getting some confidence out in left field, a position at Yankee Stadium you clearly need it. But if that's going to happen, the results need to come right after it. And if they start coming consistently, it's time to get excited about this player. But I think that time is probably somewhere around the All-Star break.
Yeah. He had 2 hits today, by the way, of over 100 exit velo. Now, keep in mind, like the kind of barometer there at like 95, that's like a good. But we're constantly seeing over 100 from these guys. We're seeing from
considered
Dominguez.
A barrel. That's the definition, is a barrel. 95 plus, which I wanted to bring it up to you because I thought it was interesting. Most often, you would say our hitters, especially young hitters, should be sitting dead red fastball. That should be their game plan. And Jasson Dominguez today got a first pitch curveball and laces it to right field. I thought it was interesting. The Yes broadcast was super excited about that. I thought it showed a mature hitter and just what could possibly be on its way, rather than just sitting dead red and trying to go into the upper deck. So what did you think about that?
I thought it was a sign of maturity. I think that's what it really comes down to. I think you want to see these guys. You want to see the Ben Rices. You want to see the Jasson Dominguez. You want to see Anthony Volpe at some point be able to do that. And I thought that was a big deal. And I got to do it. I'm going to do it every time, because I know when the Yankees have one of those porch shots, everyone is quick to say softball stadium would only be out in one ballpark. Jazz Chisholm would have been out in 3 ballparks today on that flyout. I'm just saying, would be leading the majors in home runs, but we're not going to be talking about net now to Willie, right? I mean, that's the way it is.
It is interesting, though, that people get upset at all about ballparks.
I know.
I've never understood it.
I don't care. I'm making fun of those people.
Yeah, as you should. I just think in general, all parks have a benefit. Every single one. I don't really think there's anything that's neutral. You go play at Chase Field, right? And they've had to acquire a humidor. Like, they literally had to put their baseballs in a humidor in order for balls not to fly out the way that they were, right? You go to Boston, left field is a short porch, right? It's basically doubles alley. So there are benefits. There are pros and cons to every field, right? And you've seen lefties go to Boston and absolutely hate it because it's a bomb out to right field. So that's what makes this sport interesting, is no park is the same, other than obviously what's going on right now at George Steinbrenner Field with Tampa. But that's another element. You're playing at Yankee Stadium outside, and sure enough, we're seeing a lot of scoring out of Tampa. So I think all of that's in good fun. I'm certainly people are just having a good time, just making fun of it, because, I mean, who doesn't these days? But, yeah, is there anything about this lineup? Because I did see that Aaron Boone talked before this game started. He was discussing Trent Grisham. And this is a player I think that shipped his way to New York, and you're probably saying, oh, boy, like, I'm sure this guy's going to be playing more than I'm comfortable. He's going to be out in center field. But we're now at a position where Boone said, I'm going to try and get this guy in 2025 as many at-bats as possible. I think he's actually a really good player, and he can impact this team and help them win right now. That's not something we ever anticipated would happen with this player. So do you think at all that this confidence that Boone's showing is well-founded, or do you think that he's just sort of blowing smoke? Because obviously he's playing well, but then if he's not in August, September, and October, it wouldn't really come as much of a surprise. So do you think he's just talking?
I think he knows. I mean, if Grisham continues to hit the way he's hitting, he'd be an idiot not to play him, right? But as soon as he starts to tail off, that's it. And I think really people have it backwards, because I saw in some of our comments, I saw this being the case with Ben Rice, and that, oh, he's just going to fall off. Perfect timing for Stanton, and it'll take care of itself. Well, I think you have it backwards. I don't think he's going to fall off the way some of these people think. I think, if anything, Grisham's going to fall off, and they're not backing off of Cody Bellinger. Bellinger's off to a slow start. People have to understand, because they've been on his back. They've been on a lot of these guys' backs. But let's remember what Aaron Judge did in April, right? Aaron Judge was atrocious at the beginning of the season. Absolutely atrocious last year. And so was Austin Wells. And in different months, Aaron Judge had his moments where he was the best hitter in baseball pretty much the rest of the year. But Austin Wells had his moments where, you know, he's hitting 280, I think, in the month of August. There you go. So I do think we're going to come across something like that, where Grisham does kind of fall off, or he just has one of those outlier seasons in a contract year, and he goes and he gets his money this offseason. I don't know, but I would lean towards the I know. I would lean towards
gets paid by, and I mean paid, right?
Yeah,
like he has a career year, and someone gives him like a 3 or 4
$30 million
deal.
a year.
If somebody even turns around and gives him like 13, I think that is crazy. I understand.
I'm not
what the
disagreeing
potential
with you,
is, but he's a good defender. It was all brought up on the broadcast today. Trent Grisham, you saw the play you could make at the wall. It's sensational, and we talked about this, by the way. We said if Trent Grisham's going to play, if Cody Bellinger's going to be in the outfield and playing, Soto's not going to be here. You have to imagine, Jake, this defense is going to be a lot better. And this is how we're going to have to win games. You saw the Yankees today. Anthony Volpe didn't have an electric day. I thought in general, 1 for 3, hard hit contact up the middle, but he was wreaking havoc on the base pass. That's sort of what the Yankees are going to have to do if they want to win games. It's going to have to be rugged sometimes. It's not going to be upper deck shots every night to win games. So I don't know. I think in general, some of these guys you would describe as streaky, when they start doing the dirty work a little bit more often, I think their game is going to start to become more even keeled, where we have some level of expectation. Because right now it feels like we come into games and we're like, wonder if Jazz Chisholm's going to give us an 0 for 14 series. Or is Jazz Chisholm going to look like a 3-hitter in this sport, right? And that is completely valid. We've seen it from multiple players. Cody Bellinger, opening series of the year, looked like one of our better players right off the rip. And then you follow that 3 or 4 series later, we've dropped a few series, and you're like, where is Cody Bellinger, right? So it is interesting. I think there are a lot of names that you can wonder, when are they going to start to make a consistent impact? But we also have to remember how early it is. There are a lot of guys, especially as hard as guys are throwing these days, they get off the slow starts and they need some time to get revved up. So I don't know. I'm hopeful for what this offense can do, but we have to remember this rotation is ailing. They are beaten down, and Max Fried is giving them everything possible to keep them in this thing, because right now this division is limping, and this Yankees team is just finding ways to win games. I mean, we're 10-7, nothing spectacular, but it's enough right now. We just got to wait for Schmidt to come back, Luis Gil to return.
Yeah, exactly. And you got to wait for reinforcements. I mean, there's plenty of them, even the lesser talked about ones. Like, I mean, I'll say right now, I don't know how long you're going to have him, but Loaizaga has got some of the best stuff that you'll find in a bullpen. So I wouldn't mind having him back. And if he can stay healthy, he can be an asset. And the same thing goes with guys like Jake Cousins, So you have those guys, and you have your other guys like, Stanton and LeMahieu, although I'm not necessarily hyped about LeMahieu, just because obviously I'm well aware, and we've talked about this, well aware of what he's meant to the New York Yankees. But to this point, I mean, he is absolutely hitting a wall. If not, he's already hit it. So there are definitely some guys to be excited about. I think the guy I'm most excited about is the guy that is pitching very soon, and that is Clark Schmidt. I could not be more excited to watch Clark Schmidt go tomorrow.
Yeah, you love him.
That is going to be fun to watch. I'm not saying he's going to go for 7 innings or anything like that, but they were kind of letting him work in the minors, like really work like 7. Remember I pointed out, I was like, when do you normally see rehab starts where a guy has 7 strikeouts? Remember I was like, you don't see that very often. No. But it's not just he was dominant. It was that they let him work long enough to get 7 strikeouts, which was a surprise.
Which leads you to believe that he's going to show up, and it's not so much. Certainly he's going to have an 80 pitch count, right? Yeah. 65 perhaps, but it should be enough for him to give us a quality start, which is all we're asking for right now. If you keep us in games by the 5th inning, we're pretty much winning those games. We just are. You can call this offense streaky all you want to, but if we get a quality start, like even mediocre, this Yankees team has pretty much won all those games. And then all the games where you say, okay, well, the game was over in the 2nd inning. Well, did it matter what the offense was going to do? I don't think so. But, Jake, I want to talk about a topic that was hot on the presses before this game even started. I know where you're going, yeah. And, I mean, it is none other than Mr. Juan Soto, right, the new signee with the New York Mets. Obviously signed an incredible contract for himself, and he described it as not a money decision, but this decision was about baseball. He wasn't sure if the Yankees were going to be the best situation in terms of winning after Aaron Judge was gone. That was his description as to why he joined the Mets. It was about wins and losses. Very interesting. And honestly, we just let him talk. Some people responded, some didn't, and we just let it go by. We didn't talk about it. We haven't talked about it since. And Jake, here we are with Mr. Juan Soto talking to the Post this week, saying it's definitely different, describing how he's pitched. I had the best hitter in baseball hitting behind me, obviously mentioning last year. I was getting more attacked and more pitches in the strike zone, less intentional walks and things like that. I was pitched differently last year. Now, what's so interesting about this comment from Juan Soto is, didn't you already know this as a grown man in Major League Baseball? We talked about it all year. We essentially described you guys as Ruth and Gehrig, and the beauty in a combination where you have a 1-2 punch is you've got to pick your poison. And you know what happens when the best hitter in the league is hitting behind you, Jake? They pitch to you. It is that simple. It's not hard. It's a very simple concept. His agent knows it. He knows it. His teammates know it. There is not a single owner in this league that doesn't know it, not a fan. So where we're at with this, and Aaron Judge essentially came back and said, yeah, Pete Alonso is a great player. He essentially said, stop talking about your exes, is really what he did. That's the situation. Juan Soto joined the Mets. He can go do that. He's free to make that choice. We have no problem with it. But why are you talking to the New York Post about what happened last year? And then some people will say, this isn't a big deal. They asked him the question. Here's what happens. This is very clear. He needs a PR class. If they ask you about the past, say, I'm really excited about the present. And obviously we loved what we had going on last year. I wish them the best of luck. But I'm here playing with the New York Mets, and we're off to a great start. I'm super excited about it. That is all you have to say, and yet here you are talking about the past in a reminiscent way that's really disrespectful to what Pete Alonso's done, and he's hitting really well this season already. So, yeah, I hate it. I think it looks really bad, and certainly some guys in that organization, in that Mets organization, are going to say, you need to stop yapping. Like, it's time to be done with that, and probably focus on what we've got going on in this locker room.
It's so funny you say that, because I don't know if you heard, but Michael Kay basically said something to the same effect.
Oh, did he really?
Oh, Michael Kay went in on him and was basically like, I wouldn't be surprised if Steve Cohen, who gave him all this money, like takes him aside and said, shut up. Why are you talking? Like, you got everything you wanted. Like, what? And he brought up exactly what you're bringing up and what Judge brought up. Pete Alonso. It's really a slap in the face to Pete Alonso, who's hitting as good as you can expect him to hit. He's hitting better than anybody could have imagined him to get off to this start. Okay? So, like, bitching about that is just a bad look. And I like that Judge, and I mean, I texted you. I was like, I like that you said that. You, like, agree 100%. I'm not going to go back and forth with this. He's got one of the best hitters in the game hitting behind him in Alonso. Basically, you do you, I'm doing me. And also, hate to break it to you, Juan Soto, but like this constant, oh yeah, they're going to be fine without me. They know. They know. They don't care about you. You don't exist. You don't matter.
What if they weren't, Jake? Even if
who
Yankees
gives a shit?
Went into destitute and we won 79 games, you really are going to sit there and talk about it?
What I'm so tired with is he clearly has some sort of minor regret about his decision, and we don't care. We don't care. Yankee fans don't care. Judge doesn't care. Michael Kay's had enough of it. And he always prefaces it by saying, I like Juan Soto. I think he is a generational talent. But you made your bed. Like, you know, that type deal. And I could not agree more. It's like, and sorry about the Rams analogy here, but it is so spot on. It reminds me so much of when Von Miller left the Super Bowl winning Rams. To be fair, the Rams were bad the next year. Injury after injury. But he left the Super Bowl winning Rams right after they won the Super Bowl. He said, the best place I can go and win is the Buffalo Bills. So after he made his decision, drew the line in the sand, you know what he kept doing? Talking about, oh, it's so hard. I wanted to go back to the Rams. It's just nonstop, like the whole offseason. Meanwhile, the Rams waited so long for his decision. Doesn't this sound kind of familiar?
Certainly
They
does.
waited for his decision that there were guys left and right coming off the board in free agency. Now, that doesn't happen in baseball nearly as quick as the NFL. But the point being is that it's the X. Like, and keep in mind, Juan Soto didn't win anything in New York. They didn't win the World Series. Von Miller, they had just won the Super Bowl, and Von Miller was doing that. And it's like, okay, well, they just won the Super Bowl, whatever. But yeah, Juan Soto, it's like I keep seeing, you know, and this is just fans talking, but I keep seeing Mets fans on social media like, oh, Yankee fans are obsessed with us. Dude, you realize I don't even think about the Mets. I forget the Mets are a team this year. Like, I do not care. I watch Yankees baseball. That's all I care about. I care about our show. I care about Yankees baseball and whoever the Yankees are playing against. And occasionally I'll watch some AL East games. I'll watch the Red Sox. I'll watch the Rays.
Can I ask you a question?
I don't care about Juan Soto.
Is there a chance that Aaron Judge shows up to the podium and says, yeah, I just, guys aren't on base quite as much when Juan Soto's not hitting ahead of me? No, never
absolutely
occur.
not.
And the reason for that is because Aaron Judge knows the player that he was before Juan Soto got here. He knows the player he was while he was there, and he knows what he's going to be when he's gone. But besides that point, He doesn't even care what version of himself is going to be out there. He's just going to go fight. That's what this is. Once you make the decision of what team you're going to play for, those are the guys you're going to war with. So to turn around and see what it would look like if I was still battling with those guys, or it's not going quite this way, here's my honest take as to what Juan Soto's really saying here, because I'm trying to unpack this. Here's what he's saying. I'm not pitched to the same way with Alonso behind me, because regardless of how he plays, Alonso doesn't command the same respect. So regardless, exactly what we said about Jazz Chisholm. People were in our comment section saying, well, if Jazz Chisholm plays this way, the way he did in the opening series, people are going to have to pitch to Aaron Judge. And I said, no, the hell they aren't. No, they are not. Because the level of player you are dictates who is pitched to. It does not matter how you play in the short term. You can go into a postseason series. If you play the Yankees and you intentionally walk Aaron Judge every single time he gets to the plate, and Jazz Chisholm hits a home run every single time he gets to the plate after that, you think you're going to say, man, I guess we should have pitched Aaron Judge. No. You let somebody else beat you other than the best player on the planet. And that's exactly what Juan Soto benefited from. And to be quite honest with you, Aaron Judge, as well as he was playing behind Juan Soto there, he made him all that money. He had a career year. It was the best year of his career. So to sit
Kay
up
also
here,
brought that up.
It's the best year of your career. You should just be thankful for what was. Say nothing, because it doesn't need to be said. Everyone already understands the circumstances. We know. So just say nothing. You're off to a hot start. Just have it be that. So there's no reason any conversation should be coming out of the mouth of Juan Soto when it comes to us, because if you're asking for the Yankees fans not to talk about you, well, then don't go to the New York Post talking about your old team. It is just that simple.
I get what you're saying.
It really does deserve a gold medal.
It is unreal. Well, it's even more unreal when you think about the fact that this isn't even the Subway Series. Think about that. Just understand what's happening right now. That's why Aaron Judge is like, are we serious? I'm not doing this back and forth. They asked him the other day. They're like, oh, how do you feel about Juan Soto hitting 300? He's like, oh, yeah, he's still a friend and all that. But it's like, after a while, you're fishing for something, and you can blame the media, but it's Juan Soto that's fishing for something when he says that. You're not saying that with all these years in the big leagues, knowing you knew exactly how to do PR after the season. Remember that? Yeah, all 30 teams
what are we going for here? Like, what's the mission? Because obviously he said this for some type of. Is it potentially making excuses for his start? Which, mind you, his start's fine. I mean, he's hitting like 255, 260. He just hit a home run today. So
he's not like
understand.
Dreadful.
He's not terrible, but it's not Juan Soto. He's a traditionally slow starter, okay? That's just how it's been. He wasn't last year. He got off to a pretty hot start with us, but normally he comes out the gate slow in April. That's fine. But for you to turn around and say, yeah, I guess I'm just getting pitched to differently. How were you pitched to in San Diego? Can you explain that to me? Because when he got to San Diego, remember, oh, I don't like hitting second. I want to hit 2. I want to hit 3. The problem is where I'm hitting in the lineup. It's excuses, man.
I love this. Alex
he really
Reyes
does
says
deserve.
Judge deserves some residuals from Soto. It's funny, and appreciate that. What's so funny to me is that we're talking about a guy that is generational. And we're saying that, and it's true, he owes Aaron Judge, 1, and 2, he's admitting that he owes Aaron Judge. And as a competitor, I'm honestly shocked. As a professional baseball player, one of the best in the league, and a competitor that just made all that money, you're whining. Whether you want to or not, you are whining to the media when you say that. You have to know that. Either he is that dense, or, he's whining. And I tend to look at the latter because I don't think he's that dense. I don't. He knew what he was saying.
I think he kind of acts like he's just so naive to the situation. Can I ask you a question, though? And I'm being serious. This is not a rhetorical.
Yeah.
If you broke up with somebody, we're talking about a dating relationship, and you go on Instagram and you see this person who you've dumped, right? Mm-hmm. Or let's just go with they dumped you. And you see months later that they're making I guess the kids like to call them subtweets, sub posts, right? Where the post is clearly about you. What does that tell you?
Tells me they're jealous as hell of me.
They made the wrong choice.
Yep.
That's what happened with Juan Soto. It's not about getting off to a hot start, being 10-4, 11-4, 12-4. None of that stuff matters. The Mets are not the Yankees. He's not going to get the same lineup protection that he had. These are all things that Brian Cashman, Aaron Boone, literally everyone who works for the Yankees brought up to him. He made the decision. It was wrong. And that's what we were suggesting. And by the way, my thing is that the Yankees offered you significantly less money, but our situation was just better. Go for it. Go play with the Mets. Go play with another organization. I've seen it before, right? We saw it with Robinson Cano. But don't make it out to be, oh, I didn't go for top dollar. Of course you did. It's exactly what you did. You went for top dollar. You signed the contract, and you're popping champagne in a hot tub. There was no process where you were looking to come back to the Yankees. You were after the most money. You got that, and you ended up wherever. It could have been anybody. He could have been playing for the Reds this year. So, I don't know, Jake. My thing is when you continuously talk about something that you decided, oh, I'm good off that. And then now you want to talk about it months later when you literally have nothing to do with one another, you're telling on yourself you made that wrong choice.
Also, again, this is so funny how much it coincides with Von Miller. Because keep in mind, he left Aaron Donald, who would be the Aaron Judge of that league at that time. So it's just so funny how similar they are. I mean, really, the issue that I have about him bringing it up during the season, because I mean, I really care? No, I'm actually just tired of him and I want him to go away. Like, I'm honestly just tired of once. I'm tired of hearing his name. I'm tired of seeing the Mets logo. Like, I don't see the Mets that often, but I'm just exhausted with the whole thing. That said, right? Because it's like all that just to lose to the Dodgers. Whoopoo! But here's the deal, right? When you have that come out, and you say that just tells me you're not really focused on the big picture. You're in the middle of the season playing. You shouldn't have any time to think about this stuff right now. You shouldn't be talking about this. You shouldn't be focusing on other teams. Like, you know, he mentioned how he watches Judge, and it's like, you have time to watch Judge and the Yankees? There's no way, right? I mean, I guess so.
Do you realize how busy these guys are?
Yeah,
you're playing 162 games.
It's wild to me.
In a 6-month stretch. You literally, when we see they have a day off, we're like, oh wow, we've got a day off, because we almost get into a rhythm of doing this show every single day, right? Our fans get into a rhythm of watching this team every single day, and they get one day off, and they're like, oh, what am I gonna do? You're gonna go flip on another baseball game? They're at the field for a 7 o'clock game. They're at the field at like noon. You really think these guys are sitting around watching each other? Like, is Juan Soto really YouTubing Aaron Judge?
Maybe
what
he
he's
is.
Doing?
Maybe he's really watching that one YouTube channel that like recaps all the games. I don't know.
It is wild to me, but I think right now for the Yankees, and it was handled beautifully by Aaron Judge.
Because he's a captain. That's the difference between the two.
He's the captain. He's a leader, and that's the one knock that Soto had compared to Aaron Judge. Obviously, Judge being the better player, but the leadership quality, knowing what to say and what not to say. Because it's not always about just giving some spiel and saying the right words. No, Aaron Judge sometimes knows when to shut up. That's part of this process. So I love that he made it about us rather than making it about them. That was perfect. And what it did, it was a way of subtly saying, let's stop talking about us. Let's do that. Because if he says that, now it escalates, and then, of course, you're going to get the X to shoot a message back. It's pointless.
And he already knows, and that's probably why he's even more annoyed, is because they're going to play each other soon, and it's going to be that whole 3-game set or 2-game set, whatever it ends up being. It's just going to be nonstop. Oh, my God, what do you think about... Because... at least that's justifiable because it's the Subway Series and you're playing each other. But this is what I'm talking about. You're playing against the Twins. Shut the hell up. We do not care. Shoo. Like your favorite your favorite meme Friggin' Mike Tomlin. We do not care.
We do not care. We really don't. Because I can tell you this, it really doesn't matter who's on the Yankees. I feel like people don't understand this, but it doesn't matter who the players are. The end goal is the same. If a player decides that he doesn't want to play for us anymore and he goes and does something else, but we win later, we're not going to be turning around and saying, oh, wow, I still wish that player was on the team. No, we only do that in loss. When we don't get a Bryce Harper, we say, well, could he have been the difference maker for this organization? That's when we start talking about it. But the whole point of the Yankees is to win the title. That's it. We won a World Series. And obviously, with him here, we didn't do that. It's unfortunate. And we wanted to run it back and see if we can go do that. But now that he's gone, our sights were set almost immediately, Jake. The Yankees were trying to get Kyle Tucker. Let's not forget that. Okay? So it didn't stop. Nothing stopped.
It's true. It keeps on going. No one player is bigger than all the others. And I hope Juan knows that. Monument Park should have told him. But that's why a lot of fans in general were like, he's just not a Yankee. He's just not a true Yankee. I was pretty quick to just move on from him because I realized if you're around that tradition and you're around Aaron Judge, and then you're just not a part of the – you're not Yankee worthy if you don't want to be part of that. It's no different than, what I always say about, well, now not anymore with NIL, but college programs. If you go to Lawrence, Kansas, and you take a trip and you actually do a tour, and I've done that before, and you don't commit to the Jayhawks, then you're not a Jayhawk. It's that simple. Like you don't get it. It's not like we're better than you. It's just you don't get it. Like, I'm not saying the Yankees are better than anybody, but there's what it means to be a Yankee. I mean, I know Marcus Stroman doesn't want to be a Yankee, but everybody else on that team is glad to be a Yankee right now. So
they're looking for people who do give a rip about it. That's what it is, because not everyone has to care about the Yankees brand. They just don't. And most people, by the way, don't care at all. They just don't. But the Yankees want to bring guys in and test it, because people said, does Tucker want to come here? Would Vladdy Jr. a couple years ago, would he ever want to come here? And to which I said, who gives a rip? Who cares? You find out when the time comes who wants to be on the team and who doesn't. Okay? And we found out this offseason exactly what it was. And right now the Yankees are sitting up top of the AL East, and you've got to be proud of that. So it's as you can see, it's going to be a dogfight for the AL East. There is no great team right now.
Speaking of which, remember Max Fried? He was going to go to the Red Sox. He chose to go to the Yankees. He was offered more by the Red Sox, if I recall that report correctly.
I didn't see that report, but that's sort of what you're looking for.
Yeah, that's your guy.
Yeah, that's the guy, because he's already given you the smoke signal. I give a rip about this. So when he comes through the door, you don't have to ask when he's struggling, does this guy even want to be here? Can we trade him? That's not a conversation, because you know the story of how he even came through the door in the first place. So you just got to love guys that want to be around. That's the most important thing. And then after that, it's competing and working hard, and then talent after that. So we've got talent in here. I know it's difficult because this lineup is incredibly, they're streakier than an 8th grader's gym shorts. We are streaky as hell. And you have to imagine at some point with young players, that could bounce closer towards an equilibrium, but we're not there yet, very clearly. In our rotation, Schmidt is back tomorrow. That's good stuff.
We should be partying. That is worthy of drinking a beer for that. Like that makes me very hyped. I'm very excited to see Clark Schmidt back. It's been since the playoffs, Gary.
It's been a while.
We haven't seen him. So yeah, I'm very excited for him. Shout out to Max Fried for getting the thing done today. Luke Weaver still hasn't given up a run. And how about Devin Williams? Right? Devin Williams had a good day today. He's starting to look pretty good. I'm not going to lie. And it's to be expected. But his ERA is now down to 6. It was way higher. I'm not even backhanded complimenting him. It was way higher. So good stuff there. We'll wrap it up here with 2 things. First thing, what are your thoughts on Captain America? Aaron Judge.
Thought it looked cool. And you know what the main thing for me is, it sets the table for important baseball for Aaron Judge again. And I want to see what he does on the big stage. Because you never know. Maybe this could be a table setter for him turning it on in October. You have to remember, Aaron Judge was not great. He just wasn't in October ball. Now, we expect that to change, but he's got to change it first before we can just start making predictions that it is, that it is here. So it's interesting because USA Baseball, it's pressure-packed, right? You're going to face the best players in the world, and guys, especially when they start playing for their home country, they can feel it. You can tell that everyone who's playing in this event can feel that. It'll be interesting to see how he handles that pressure and that momentum, because hopefully he runs with it and we can bring it home.
Yeah, and I honestly wonder if what you just said had anything to do with his decision. Like, is this not just practice at the end of the day? You're an athlete. You're a competitor. You're not going in there thinking, oh, I might get hurt. No, you're thinking, maybe this is practice for me in the big moments. But also you're representing your country, So, I mean, I thought that was cool. Fernando Cruz, I'm most excited for as a Yankee. I'm very excited for Cruz. We loved the trade when it was made. The idea that you turned Jose Trevino into Fernando Cruz, my brain can't even compute that. But
pretty sensational.
Yeah, that was a sensational return. I don't care that he's 35. Relievers pitch forever, so you could have him for 6 years for all you know. But
yeah, I feel like we make a lot of trades in the end. It's interesting because I think right now Brian Cashman is only critique for the mistakes that he makes, and that's understandable. You go 15 or 16 years, you don't win not one single time what we're actually striving for. You are going to be criticized. I think that's reasonable, but he's also had a lot of wins, specifically in that bullpen. Right? We have to remember the Clay Holmes trade that we made a couple years ago. That ended up working out. He was very good for us for a while, and then that took a turn for the worse. So, yeah, this move right now, Fernando Cruz, that splitter is almost league best. It's
amazing.
It's game-changing pitch. Is this something that we're going to be seeing 4 or 5 years from now? Probably not. But I will tell you this. If you're going to go anywhere, and that goes for any team in this league, and you want to win anything, you need to find guys like this. You need to find a shot in the arm that you made some random trade. You get rid of your backup catcher and bring somebody who's productive. So this is a sensational pickup by the Yankees. And I can't say it's something that's sure thing. He will be electric come October this year, but there's potential for that. And that's why you make these deals.
I could not agree more. Thank you, Jordan, for the super chat. All right, so that is going to do it. I'm not going to give out a movie. I'm going to give out a game because I'm so hyped. That just got announced. Remaster, Oblivion. You ever play Oblivion, Gary?
I've never played Oblivion, no.
Oh, my God. The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. So, yes, put in Oblivion in the comments section after we have finished. If you're on Twitter, head on over to YouTube, youtube.com/@Yankees Unloaded, and put Oblivion in the comment section and give us a subscribe as well. But that's going to do it. Be sure to follow us on all social media at JK Bogan, at Gary Sheffield Jr., and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Like this video.